We are back again with our podcast, AI in Action, the HR edition. And I couldn't be more excited to see my co host Anastasia again, together with our guest, Hernan Kioso. I'm very, very excited for today's episode and the discussion that we are going to have.
Excellent. Thank you, Magdalena. Welcome, Hernan. So today's discussion is going to be about the human side of AI. It's about balancing progress and purpose. Hernan, would you like to introduce yourself to us before we jump with first questions at you?
Sure. I'm originally from Argentina, but I've been living in the United States for the last almost 13 years now. Um, I started my career as a developer, and then gradually, as a company that I was working for needed more people, s- gradually moved into HR, but never losing the technical side of things, never losing the technical perspective. So I was able to use that, to leverage that, uh, to be successful in my role. And then in the last couple of years, I've moved into more of a consulting role, focusing on HR innovation, trying to build the tools that I wish I had when I was an HR leader.
Wow.
In building tools, particularly anything that has to do with software today, has a big component of AI, and it's something that I get very interested in, not just from the technical side of how to build things, but about the ethical side of why. And what are the concerns that need to be taken into account? What are the opportunities and what are the challenges? So that's my story.
Thank you very much for the introduction. And talking about, it's interesting that you mentioned about the opportunities, but also about the other side, right? The ethical side of it, because we always have to balance between both of them. And I feel like these days many tech companies are in a race to develop more advanced AI systems. But in your opinion, what are the limitations of focusing solely on scaling up language models in the pursuit of artificial intelligence? And also, like how can you balance it out when, as you mentioned, with the ethical concerns?
Sure. I'm not an AI engineer or an AI architect, but one of the things that I've noticed in having conversations with people who are in those type of roles and have those type of backgrounds is that for the most part, the the people who are in the with the most technical backgrounds, they all tell me you cannot build artificial general intelligence, you cannot build that level of intelligence on something like the architecture of large language models.
Mm-hmm.
In the in one of the most famous people who have that opinion is Jan LeCun, uh, from Meta,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Um, he and as many people think, the large language models are focused on language, and that's one of the parts of intelligence. And I think that the part of the concern is with this world, this concept of artificial general intelligence, which is very lax and undefined.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Um, some of the things that are missing in the large language model approach to this is understanding of the world. For example, uh, they process words, but they don't understand the world. They don't have the experience of interacting with the world. That's why some of the approaches that are trying to overcome this have to do with equipping AI with more sensors to the world, so to speak.
Yeah, we are. Mm-hmm.
There's also a component of the limited problem solving and reasoning abilities. AI is made to recognize patterns. It's a probabilistic model. The large language models are probabilistic models that recognize patterns, but they don't understand the true cause of things. They
Mhm.
they understand that when something happens, usually something else follows. So it's kind of like how it worked with the autocomplete, right?
Yes.
After a certain word, it's very likely that certain other words are going to follow, and that's how it works. That's how it operates. There's no reasoning. There's no understanding. There's also another component that is missing in large language models is intent and self-improvement.
Mhm.
So they don't have it's they are the AI is not an conscious individual that has an intent and a trajectory of self-improvement.
It's not
um,
sentient like people say. Like people, well, like we want to think that it's just as sentient as us, but not.
right, and there's also lack of emotions and the empathy of understanding humans. In I've been reading something on people that try to compare large language models with the human brain,
Yeah.
and what I've been reading from people who are much smarter than me on this topic and much more specialized is that they function like certain areas of the brain, the language centers, like the Broca language center or the Wernicke language center, but they don't have things like the sensory part.
It doesn't have a soul. First of all, I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't have a soul, it doesn't have intuition, and it really relies on the human input. And I think this is a very important point that you said, Hernan, that it always thinks that something is going to follow, and it cannot, give any advice based on intuition or empathy. What is important to mention, it can act as if. It can give the impression as if it is empathetic, as if it cares, as if it, speaks with empathy. But that's the trick. We need to know that this is not actually happening and it's still a machine. That's why we keep on repeating, and especially for HR functions, where we always say the human part is so crucial, obviously not only in HR, in any business function, but we keep on saying it's so important to keep the human oversight within those AI projects, AI adoption, AI implementation. It will always be crucial.
yeah, definitely. That's for sure. It's a that I like to describe the relationship between uh, artificial intelligence and human intelligence as an asymptote. So it's getting closer to the line, getting closer, but it's not never getting to that point,
Oh, that's
right?
good.
The curve is getting closer, but it will it will not it will get more advanced. But I don't think that the current architecture on its own, even just even if you keep scaling, I mean, you're gonna be getting closer, but you're not gonna be getting there. You need
Mhm.
different ways of maybe combining different language models that are specialized, and they learn to cooperate because we humans, we have different uh, selves,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Different voices inside our heads that have those conversations and that tell us, for example, to help us to self-regulate, right? To understand, okay, no, maybe I've gone too far, should take a step back. AI doesn't have that.
AI
Some people
doesn't,
don't have
yeah.
that either, but
That's true. And I think this is a very good point. And I'm also looking at the job market. So, what you said is this line, it will get closer and closer, but it will never be one. It will never get together. But looking at the job market, for example, so many people are afraid AI is going to take their jobs. And I mean, we also know there are several jobs that probably will be taken over by AI. So, how do you see that and the fact that AI can get that close to still take over some of the jobs that we have?
yeah, it's a very this is a very interesting discussion and something that I've been doing a lot of thinking about. Um, I think that what's happening and what's going to continue to happen is that um, the job positions are going to change because the people holding those job positions are going to be augmented by artificial intelligence.
Hmm.
And the nature of the job position will change because of all these enablement through AI. So the example that I use with this is, if you went to a supermarket maybe 40 years ago, the cash register was, in best of cases, it was an electric cash register, but with no memory, and no, not a computer. And so the skills that the cashier needed to have to do with, like, really good typing skills, really good memory to remember the
Mhm.
prices of things, and they needed to also greet the customer. They needed to check the money, and make sure that they were returning the right change to the customer. They need to check on the that they needed to do a little bit of asset management
That's a very
also.
good example. Yeah.
But as you move on with the years with technology, the cash register became a computer. So all the prices would be in the computer. Then the barcode scanners
Hmm.
eliminated the need for typing. And now, if you go to a supermarket, if you go to a supermarket here in the U.S. at least, many supermarkets, they have these self-service
Yeah.
stations. So you have one cashier supervising 6 self-service stations where people are scanning their own products. They
Hmm.
have sensors that tell you, "Have you scanned that product? Please put your product in the bag." And there's all of these, um, like, monitoring of the clients. And what the cashiers do is mostly help the clients, educate the clients on how to use the machines.
Yeah,
By
also,
And this,
themselves.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
right. So the skills required to be a cashier 40 years ago are very different to the skills that are required today.
Yeah,
They are
exactly.
still called maybe they are still called the same thing, but they are going to be completely different skills. And same thing is going to happen with many other roles, where um, the technology will enable the worker to do many other things, but they need to learn how to use the technology.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting point, and I can see it happening in HR as well. Like how you mentioned that the skill, like it's you have the same job, right? But because the product has changed or the process has changed of like how do you check out your groceries, so yes, you need less people, but then again, the jobs change, right? So you need maybe one cashier right now, but at the same and also a different type of skill. I feel like we are going to go through this change in HR as well. And maybe it's a well desired change because a lot of HR people say that they would like to do more intellectual work or a bit more human work and not and less process. So if process can be taken over by AI, then HR can do actually what they intend to do to connect with human beings. How do you see this? Somebody who actually, Hernan, somebody who's been in this in HR position for a very long time and in leadership position as well. How do you feel this change will affect HR functions? Where does it? Where is it leading from your perspective?
Well, there's certainly an opportunity to get to complete all those tasks that HR is always running late
That's good.
for, like,
That's very
there's
good.
that checklist that you never get to complete, that thing that, well, yeah, did we finish the onboarding of this employee? Well, kind of, yeah, well.
I love this because
So
it's so true.
we all have these processes that we have defined, but then it's hard to find the time to check
Follow
all the
through.
boxes
Yeah, yeah.
consistently for all the situations. I think AI can enable us to do a lot of that, especially the like the heavy lifting of that. It can help us a lot. We need to make sure that we do that in a way that is also consistent with the culture in our organization.
Yeah. That's important.
Because if we pride ourselves, if we have in our mission and our values something about things related to the human touch of our employees, and that if we have built that reputation for ourselves, and this is the message that we send to the world, and then our points of contact with our employees are very robotic and devoid of life, and they are very automatic, then we are creating a lot of cognitive dissonance. We are creating a lot of confusion, and it's also a lack of authenticity.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, absolutely.
Other day, I was reading something very funny the other day. It reminds me of the discussion now that we have. So it basically said, like, everything that HR professionals need to know about, and it's true because HR professionals are expected to be the psychologist, the good cop, the bad cop, taking care of your onboarding, of your well-being, knowing about each and every function, knowing about what is happening in this and that department. So knowing basically all the functions in and out, knowing how to hire for finance, knowing how to hire for supply chain. We need to know it all. And now, on top of that, we need to know about AI, generative AI, automation, whatever you want to call it. So I think it's funny, but it's also very true. And it's giving a lot of responsibility to HR. And still, HR as a department doesn't seem to get all the credit it should
Mhm.
actually get for its work, right? So, in your opinion, Anand, and also with all the years of experience that you have in HR, how do you think HR professionals can actually prepare for this, AI augmented work that is coming up in the future?
Yeah, the first advice that I would give is lose the fear
That's
and
good.
start learning.
Very good.
Um, I was watching a video the other day. I think it was like a LinkedIn training, and the trainer made a small but very important point. He was saying something like AI is not. You can think that AI is coming for your job,
Mhm.
but you can also think that AI is coming to your job.
Oh, I like that.
So I think it's a very interesting distinction because one comes from the place of fear of saying it's coming for me, and the other one is saying it is going to be part of my job in the future, and so I need to adapt to that. Just like Microsoft Office tools became part of our life,
Yeah,
or uh, like word processors and spreadsheets became part of our life, and the way that we do work.
Mhm.
That's what's going to happen with AI. It's going to be part of how we work.
I
absolutely.
couldn't agree more on this. I think this is totally true. And I really, really like this perspective change. If you change from this fear and you come to the perspective of chance, like what are the chances? What can actually AI do for me? It's always the discussion, it's always around. People are so afraid that they don't even have the possibility to shift their mind into this positive state of AI is actually going to help me and to make my life better, easier, to make me more productive, more effective. All of these things are actually true. And the worst part of this is actually that usually people are fearing AI that have not had enough touching point with AI, either with tools or with solutions. So I think the message should really be go out and play around with it and try it. And usually, what I like to say is that it is the employer's responsibility to train the workforce on AI and to make sure that your workforce and your employees are ready for AI. But if your employer is not offering this, there are tons of free resources out there that not only HR professionals, but any employee, any professional can use to educate themselves on, to get familiar with AI, to get familiar with the basics, to learn about it, and to understand how it works and what it actually can do for you.
Yeah, definitely. There's I think that there's two things there. One is that you don't have to be an engineer
Yes,
to understand how AI works,
absolutely
the
true.
basics of how AI works. You don't have to be an engineer to use AI, in the example of like prompting, right? Yes, there's prompt engineers, but that's a kind of like a different breed. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
It's a different sport, right? So the basic prompting is, all you need is language, right? Um, and and I think that I was going to make another point. Um, I think that you need to learn also because it's interesting.
Yes.
It's
It
fascinating.
Absolutely.
think of the possibilities of having that available to you. Um, as I cannot live today. I'm reading a book. I'm reading a paper book, and I wish I had Google to search something, like to go quickly to one part of the book that I'm interested in. If I'm reading something related to work. Um, so I miss it I became so used to
Yeah.
search that I'm missing it when I don't have it. Uh, I think that the same thing is likely to happen, that we are going to become used to AI, and we need to make sure that we are used and proficient, but not addicted. So, over we need to make sure that we don't lose some basic skills
Yes.
by relying too much on AI. So it's a balance.
Absolutely. And Ernan, I know that you are founder and a product manager of Productize HR, and you develop products for HR tech space. I wanted to have this opportunity to ask you about what do you do exactly and what do you offer. And I'm asking this question because I'm genuinely curious to understand, but also this is a great guidance for HR sometimes. Yeah, to when we say go out and play with AI, find out how can it help you in your job, find out what kind of systems can you implement in your for your company and for HR department that can help your job. But so in this light, in the could you tell us a little bit more about how do you offer products to HR companies and what sort of products do you offer, and also where do you see the demand, what people are
Mhm.
asking for or companies are asking for?
Sure. Um, so the approach that I take is more of a consulting approach rather than like a selling a specific product or another. Um, a lot of the work that I do has to do with education, with helping organizations build a strategy, but also educate their team. I've been doing some workshops and some courses on the topic of AI, particularly for HR. Um, I help organizations curate their HR technology stack to
Mhm.
understand what fits their specific needs, and how to make sure that things talk to each other. um, I I'm trying to get and some of that may require some kind of development, and I
Hmm.
have a team that can help me with that. Um, I do speaking engagements to educate the audience on the possibilities of AI with HR. One of the things that I love about this consulting space that I am is that if there's one thing that I could be doing for free and forever, is learning new things. Is spending the time learning what's coming, the new technology, the new tools, then the new ways of thinking, having doing some thinking on why we are doing things, all these, those are my hobbies. Learning is my hobby.
Okay.
Right? Those are the things that I do with my free time. So being able to learn something and then teach it and communicate with others, and seeing that spark in the other person's eye, and my client's eyes. Oh, now I know that I can do this. Now I'm not afraid. Those type of things, they give me energy, and those are the type of things that I'm more drawn towards. So a lot of, like I said, a lot of this has to do with workshops, with
Mhm.
training, with designing a strategy. Occasionally, that, like I said, it may require some product. I One of the things that I love about uh, products in general, the product management space, is the similarities between uh, product management and HR, and that's kind of like the reason behind productize HR,
Mm-hmm.
because I in doing some exploration in the product management space, and in my background with software development and HR, I came to realize years ago that the user experience and the employee experience are analogous concepts,
Yeah,
and that the the employment is a subscription based service that gets renewed payroll after payroll, right? In Like Jessica Swan and Matt Bradburn say, they're strong advocates of the product management approach to HR. As a HR leader, you're the product manager of the employee experience.
absolutely. That's so true. And also, your employees are also your employer brand in the end, because they are going out presenting your company. I mean, HR is obviously also presenting the employer brand, because you are the first contact to potential talent, to potential candidate. But once this candidate is signed and the person becomes an employee, he or she is obviously also taking care of the employer brand. That's why it's so important to take care actually of your employees. I really, really like that. That's fantastic. So,
Yeah,
wow.
especially yeah, especially you need to get them to subscribe to buy your product,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And in thinking about your HR initiatives as products enables a whole lot of things that's I have created my own framework for HR productization that has a component of technology, but it's not just about technology. There's design thinking to
Mhm.
build your HR products around your the needs of your users, of your
Mhm.
employees. There's things that have to do with change management,
Yeah.
uh, because launching a new HR initiative is not as easy as saying, "Okay, I sent an email. Now everybody knows about it."
Mhm.
That's not implementation,
That's not how it's happening. No.
right? And there's a component of data literacy, because HR generates a lot of data. I like to say that HR generates probably more data um, than any other department within the organization, because you have interactions with your employees all the time,
Oh,
every
yeah.
day.
True.
You have performance reviews, you have one-on-ones, you have uh,
Development, session
Development.
planning, everything. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Exactly. There
right.
is so much.
There's a lot of data points there that if you are able to take and analyze, and AI can be a big helper in that, suddenly you are more on top of the trends that are happening within your organization and with your team, and not just reacting after.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's very good. Wow. Oh my God. I mean, I have learned so much throughout this session. Thank you so much, Anand,
Thank
because
you.
it's so fascinating. I mean, for me, the key takeaways are definitely that artificial intelligence is not going to meet human intelligence. And as you beautifully described, it can get close, 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 but it will never be the same. And then what I absolutely love is looking at the HR services as a product. I mean, wow, if you look at it in this way and then you produce and you pack the data right and you present it with AI, then you have all this fantastic data driven insights that you can actually use to make your HR decisions. I totally love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting lens to look at your
Yeah.
HR that makes you build something that has more internal coherence and makes more sense, and not just follows a recipe of best practices in the industry, or because those best practices in the industry may not adjust to your needs, to the needs of your employees and your organization.
Absolutely, this is very insightful, Renan. It's I think very nice lens to share it with our viewers, if there are any viewers who are from HR departments, actually. Yeah.
Perfect. I would like to thank you so much again, Anastasia, for being my co host as always. And Ernan, it was a wonderful discussion with you. We will put the link in the video to get to your product, to your services as well. Because if our listeners and our viewers would like to understand more about your services, they can get in touch with you. We will also put in Ernan's LinkedIn profile as well. And you can reach out to Hernan and obviously also to Anastasia and myself if you have additional questions. So thank you everyone for today, and we see you in the next episode. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.